Okay, motion to open tonight's meeting of the Community Preservation Act Committee.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then we're open. Welcome. We're Monday, August 12th, regular meeting of the Community Preservation Act Committee. We'll jump right into the agenda. So we have item number 1, which is review and approval of the May 7th and July 12th minutes. We don't have hard copies of the minutes, right? We were all emailed them, so I'm assuming if,
Yeah, I only have one hard
Yeah.
copy available if
Okay.
anybody wants to
I don't know
see
if
it.
everybody's had a chance to look at the electronic
actually
version of
3
them. If anybody
sets.
has any comments, sorry.
There's actually 3 sets, so this should include the July 29th minutes too, which were
Okay.
also done.
Okay, so we'll include the July 29th.
If anybody does want to look at my one hard copy, I do have one.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the May 7th meeting minutes. I checked them, there's nothing, everything's good in that.
Second.
The other, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the May 29th, the July 15th, I had a couple things, wait a second here, that need to be addressed, and I don't know if, one of them is on page 2, at number 8.
Yeah.
She didn't finish writing in the, whatever, I don't know what she didn't, it says named as the,
Yeah,
You
that
guys
just
don't
needs to
have
be
your-
completed.
this was hard copies given to us last meeting, no, you guys don't have it? Well, I don't know what she meant, do you know what she meant there? Named as the,
No.
number 8,
Okay, the receiver is correctly named as the,
yeah.
I have no idea, I wasn't at this meeting.
Okay, and then she spelled Stuart Sanganor's name wrong, and on number 9, number 10. And then the end of number 10, there's,
Oh, I know what that one was about. It's that it should be to the Valley Opportunity Council, not to VOSE,
okay,
so I can tell her.
Valley Opportunity Council, okay. And then Sagamore needs to be
Planning
spelled
What?
N-O-R for Sagamore in number 10.
Uh,
And then at the end, she just says, it says, Balsetti motioned for a 25-year restriction on those properties, but she didn't say who was seconded, so I don't know who that was either. But unanimous consent, so those things need to be,
So we need to revise those.
Yeah.
yes.
There's a big thing also that I told her about that on number 13, where it says the eligibility applications are due on September 14th. That's a Saturday, so it's September 13th.
Oh, here she comes now.
And so we can possibly get all of this taken care of.
Okay, September the 13th, oh, down here. So you changed the date is wrong?
It should be September 13th.
13th,
Yeah,
okay.
that's the date that was voted on, because that's the Friday.
Okay, we'll wait for Megan to, I just want to ask her who seconded that. It
Thank
should
you,
be in the
Mike.
minutes who seconded. You happen to remember who seconded number 10?
I don't think she'll remember that.
Mhm.
I don't. I'll go back in.
Okay, because,
I'll try to find it.
okay. So we'll just, accept it as revised.
Yeah.
And she can revise it online, as long as it's revised online. So
Yeah,
I make a motion to
well,
do that.
Just before we do that, since Megan is now here, I think we all had questions about precisely what was meant in number 8 for that same date. I wasn't here, so I don't remember the conversation.
I know what
yeah.
it's meant.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
that, here, I'll show you.
Yeah, it was Valley Opportunity Council.
Just left off the end of that sentence. So I believe it's Valley Opportunity Council, because that was the correction that was
Okay, so
made.
that's all that's needed there. Great.
And then change the date to the 13th, on number 13,
Yeah, that's right there.
and, okay.
So we had a
I make a
motion.
motion to accept it as revised.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The July 29th, the only thing that I saw in there was under, well, there's, under number 2, the last sentence, all meetings are posted 2 weeks prior, as is required by state open meeting laws. That's for the Historical Commission. Are we supposed to put ours 2 weeks? I mean, this is regarding the Historical Commission, not us. According to them, they have to post their meetings 2 weeks prior. We don't have to do that, so I don't know why they have to
The
do that.
local historic commission, we do 48 hours.
Well, that's who this is.
But we're the local, they're the historical district. And I heard that 2 weeks, and I thought that was more than I was accustomed to. The local historic district is underneath, part of,
Oh, okay.
but for some
I see
reason,
what you're saying.
we only do 48 hours.
That's what you do, right? City council?
Yes, 48 hours, yes. So
Yeah, just-
there's nothing wrong, because that's
No.
what they said.
Right.
So I just was wondering if,
Right.
that was okay.
I
The
think-
only other thing was, under number 6, whoever made the original motion, it's not mentioned who that was. So,
Okay, we'll have to,
number 6, yeah. Who made the original motion? And it says second, due to a unanimous consent.
Oh, can you pass the agendas down, please?
Number 6, the end of number 6?
It says seconded by
Great.
Yep.
And this is for you.
Who originally made the motion?
It says Panic's motion to add guidance language
Where does it say that?
is the second sentence under 6.
Oh, yeah, oh, okay, okay. All right, good. Okay,
any other
yep,
comments
Okay.
on the July 29th
yep.
minutes?
Make a motion, we accept July 29th meeting minutes.
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so moved.
Okay.
We'll go to agenda item number 2, the state procurement law interpretation for CPA projects and contracts. Well, there's been a lot of communication. I mean, I think this is more informational, right? The board
Yeah,
doesn't need,
things
the
are
committee doesn't
okay
need to
now.
do anything,
Yeah.
but, and I also think that we are on the path to a resolution.
Mm-hmm.
Appears to be resolved, more than a path to resolution. We're waiting for Crystal Bar to write a memo
this is the last
to,
communication I had with Crystal on this. This was 4 days ago, on August 8th. She said, I confirmed with attorneys today at our municipal law training, including one that used to work with the IG, I guess that's the Inspector General's office, that private entities would not be required to follow, meaning follow procurement laws, which came up recently.
right.
At some point, common sense does seem to come into play that a private entity wouldn't be able to comply to the same extent a public entity would. I'll be putting something together when I can, hopefully next week. So this was 4 days ago. But I do have a day or two of court hearings. I think we're all set on this issue.
Right, good, so
Yeah.
that's good news. And just for information, this is an issue that rose through the procurement office as Amy's working through the logistics of the agreements and how projects will get reimbursed and proponents. And the Lori Blanger raised the issue as to whether or not, because this was public money, there needed to be a public procurement process, which would have required public bidding and prevailing wage rates for
Yeah.
Now, for municipal projects that are funded by CPA, yes, it seems clear that they do need to comply as they would no
For
matter
city
where their funding is.
projects,
But
yeah.
private entities, such as the Holyoke Boys and Girls Club, do not need to comply with public procurement and prevailing wage laws. So that was a hiccup that cost us a week or 10 days in finalizing agreements for the Boys Club and so that they can start their process. But we had a few meetings, a lot of emails, and I think we've resolved it. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or comments about that process.
No, it seems like clearly the right answer, and it's good to know the opinion is on the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
So the Holyoke Boys and Girls Club, of course, they were alarmed.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
But, having to do that would seriously impair the value of the awards to private entities, and I can't believe that the legislature intended it that way.
Well, I don't, yeah, I
Right.
don't, I don't think it's clear. I certainly don't think it was intent. We didn't dive into, what the legislation is a couple hundred pages long or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
like
I'm sure there
700
isn't a
pages.
clear answer in the statute because nobody thought to put it in the statute.
Right.
But there's plenty of practice out there, and,
Right.
we
And the,
can tell from other CPCs that this isn't the normal practice to go through public
we
procurement
got
processes.
near unanimous
Yeah,
opinions on that, but we also had some input from the coalition and Stuart Saganor, and it was not as initially as strong as we would have liked, because a little bit of hedging. It's the law, it's legislation. They're not lawyers. They're not going to give us legal opinions. But we got through it. We seem to be back on track with finalizing the agreements, and I think what it does show, though, that probably almost every step of the way there's going to be something that's going to kick up like this that we're going to have to problem solve and get through this first time. I'm still a little confused as to how the actual funds are going to get dispersed through requisition, but there's good dialogue, and we're seem to be working our way through, and everybody's cooperating. There isn't any obstructionism going on.
Yeah.
It's just people want to make sure that they're
of
doing
course.
their jobs and following the law, and that we don't have a problem later. But
Yeah.
we got through. I don't know if any other questions about that issue. So we'll move to agenda item number 3, which is an update on the city council appointment of a new CPC member to replace Andrew McMahon. I don't have any information. I don't know who does.
Yeah.
Mike.
So that was received at the city council last Tuesday, and it was sent to the Public Service Committee. It looks like it's the only application. We also asked them to move it quickly, as we needed to get going on this. And
Yeah.
Jim Leahy's the chairman. He said he'd take it up at the next meeting. We're going to try and get it on in time to be in front of, for approval at the next full council meeting.
When's the next city council meeting?
First
September?
Tuesday of September. What is that, a holiday or something?
You go to.
Yeah, we're not sure yet, because it's supposed to be the first Tuesday, and that's Holyoke Day at the Big E. So we're trying to move it around and reschedule, so I'm not sure exactly what the date's going to be.
However, it's happened. It's coming up faster than we think. It's already mid-August.
Yeah.
Right. All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions on that issue? No, we're good. So we'll move to item number 4, to the CPIA webinar information on state match and the payment of the coalition dues. So let me just address the payment of the coalition dues first. So when Amy and I were discussing the agenda item number 2, and we were reaching out to the coalition for some feedback on it, and I had put a couple calls in and hadn't had a response, and I think we got some wishy-washy responses in the meantime. And Amy said she was about to put their check in the mail, and I said, hey, hold on to that check for a second. So that was a little bit reactive on my part, and that's why that's even on here. But I don't think there's any reason to discuss it, and unless anybody has any other reasons to hold that check. I was just a little frustrated with the lack of response, but I'm fully supportive of dropping that check in the mail at this point. So, if any,
Kip, what was the amount of the dues for this year?
17?
$1,750, $1,750. Same as
Oh,
last.
and in Stuart's defense, I think he was on vacation, and then there was some other stuff going on.
Yeah,
So
I
it was
have to
just a
say,
little-
he's been immensely helpful to me every step of the way, and he even reviewed some drafts of the contracts to tell us some very important information to include on restrictions, so.
I try not to make decisions based on emotion, but sometimes it gets the better of me. I was like, okay, we'll hold that check and see if we can get a call back. But again, that's me, and probably not the best decision I made that month.
So it's going out now, though, right?
What's that?
it's going out now? or-
It's going out now.
Well,
think
I
it was
have
already
to do the requisition order. I was waiting for this
Yeah.
meeting, yeah.
So,
Although it was.
Amy, you
it was-
want to talk some about the
Yeah.
webinar?
So I participated in a CPA Coalition webinar, which was also very fruitful, and I took notes on it. Basically, on July 31st, the Governor Baker signed the permanent state match for CPA of $36 million. It's a permanent increase. He signed that into law. So this means the $20 surcharge at the Registry of Deeds will go up to $50. And there's also an increase in the municipal lien certificate, which starts at the end of the year. And it was originally 10. I didn't get the increase, but we are going to get the whole webinar and slides that I can even share maybe with you, the treasurer, if you're interested, Elaine. I can, when I get that, I can pass that along to you. And the current trust fund match total, to give you an idea of what this will mean with this increase, is $24 million for 175 communities. The new fees are estimated to be $36 million, as I mentioned, so that would be a total of $60 million. And the timetable for this is, they laid that out. I don't know if you want to hear the details. October 31st, the money would be paid out of the trust fund. November 1st, the new 12-month trust fund year begins, and the old fees are still in place. December 31st, the new fees begin at the Registry of Deeds. Did you have a question, Kip? No. Okay. November 15th, the first distribution will start. That will include 10 months. And November 15th of 2020, the first distribution. That will include the 10 months will start. And November 15, 2021, the first distribution to include a full year will start. So I guess the distribution for the 2020 is not for a full year, it's for 10 months. And what will Holyoke receive, or what will any community will receive? The results vary because of these factors. The local surcharge of the 175 communities will rise, and the new CPA communities that are starting, that affects the total. The Registry of Deed activities can affect it. But they gave an example of Abington. Is that how you pronounce the town? Abington. What?
Hopkinton?
Abington.
Yeah.
Abington.
Yeah, and they said currently, they, like Holyoke, they have a 1.5% match. And so if their amount that their match was $51,335 from the state, which is a 13.8 fund match, it will increase to $122,631 with a 33% match. So that gives you some idea. The CPA Coalition is advocating for surplus funding for fall of 2019. It could be $20 million. So this is an additional funding, the surplus funding, but legislature can change the surplus amount. And soon the DOR, the Department of Revenue, will calculate, I can send you these notes, by the way, Megan, if you want, if that helps. The DOR will calculate the FY19 surplus, and the state can spend some or all in September, October. In early November, the comptroller will announce what they call the consolidated net surplus. And just so you know, the CPA is not first in line. There must be 30 million left for there to be the surplus, and the first 10 million goes to life science. I'm not sure what that is exactly.
It's at UMass, something at UMass.
Oh, it's a UMass thing.
I don't know.
So then if there was 30 million, the first 10 would go to life science, and then 20 million would go to CPA. And in 2018, we got 10 million in surplus, but then there was no surplus for 2016 and 2017. And we did get one, as I just mentioned, for 2018. And he requested that we send a short thank you email to one of our state reps, and they're going to send details about that because of this, because the people who supported this state match increase. Yeah.
So if I may, Mr. Chairman, so we're not going to get anything this fall from the new law, but not till the fall of 2020, if I understood you correctly. I mean, we may get something from, if the legislature passed something.
No, all right,
No,
let me
it
look at my
shouldn't
notes.
click in until 2020, because first they have to collect the revenue from the increased fees.
So we're not going to, so.
But we may, it's completely speculative how much, but we may still be getting a match this year from whatever fees are collected. The usual process is always speculative until they announce the match.
Yeah.
Well, I have here November 15th, oh, no, wait. Yeah, so I guess you're right. It is next year, November of next year, that the first distribution will start, yeah.
So we're still looking
But
at
we're still
a
getting-
$500,000
Still getting a
budget.
match.
Well, we'll
of
still get
something.
at least 11%, and they might add on.
Right.
The legislature may
Surplus,
pass
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it
Yeah.
won't be this new law
Right.
until a year from now.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
All right.
Anybody else? Any comments?
Is the seminar something that we should watch? Like, I'm not sure what was the content, and is it something that we want to put on our website if it's something that's helpful to people who are interested?
I could put a link to the website, but I mean, when I get the webinar slides, with some sort of PowerPoint, probably I can send it to the entire committee.
Okay.
If you'd like to look through it. You might automatically get it because you're on that, but if not, I'll send it to you. Yeah.
I mean, I was just
Yeah.
curious to see if it was informative enough to help us here. I mean, or
Yeah.
is it just about how the funding gets
It was
divided
just
up?
about that state match, yeah.
I see.
And it doesn't sound like it's going to dramatically change our available funds for this application cycle.
Right.
It may, but we
Yeah.
probably
No,
shouldn't
but
plan on
probably,
it.
Right.
yeah, no, next year is when it should kick in.
Next year will be a big bump.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this year, we'll see in November, December, when the
Right.
state does whatever it's going to do.
All right. Anything else on that?
I mean, just so you know, Marco, anybody was available, you were all welcome to participate in it, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So we'll move to item number 5, which is the proposed changes for the application instruction. I know we made a motion and said that we would approve minor changes.
I have something, yeah.
We have some,
Because I have been working with, Ben Murphy, who you've all met in the planning department. And, I sent him what I wrote, and then he sent something back, and I sent some, so this is what we came up with. And they're also meeting tonight but he does not believe this will be a problem, but I'll just pass these around so you can see. Oops. So this is to be included in the instructions for the eligibility application, which is the first phase of the application.
You want to read it to us?
Okay, I'll read it. CPA funding is eligible for projects on the State Register of Historic Places or for those resources determined to be of historic significance by the Holyoke Historic Commission. For historic resources not listed on the State Register of Historic Places, applicants must obtain a letter from the HHC stating that the historic resources is significant to the history, archaeology, architecture, or culture of the city and include it in their final application. Applicants should contact the HHC early in the application process to ensure that the HHC has time to review the project before applications are due. The Holyoke Historical Commission can be reached. Oh, I'm just noticing that we need to make it historical for both of the mentions. The Holyoke Historical Commission can be reached at, and there's the email and the phone number that Ben shared. And I have something related to this that we should talk about too.
okay, so
I don't
let's,
think we have to vote on that.
I think we voted on it before, right? We
Yes.
said we would,
Yeah.
whether we needed to or not, we said we would approve minor language changes. It appears to be minor language changes. I think it's acceptable. It looks good to me. You have anything?
Yeah, it's because you had asked me to bring it that I did bring it.
I'm sorry?
You had asked me to bring it?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I'm glad to have it.
Okay,
You have something, Mike?
No, I think the wording on this is perfect.
Okay, good.
great. Okay, so hopefully the Holyoke Historical Commission will agree.
Did
Yeah,
you
so
say
the-
you had something
Yeah.
related to this?
Now, because of the fact that we wanted to look at this language today, I'm realizing that the application deadline for this first eligibility phase, we had said would be September 13th, but now look at where we are, and I want to allow the applicants a full month so they can also contact the Holyoke Historical Commission, just like it says here. I'm also going to be away for the rest of this week. So I think it seems like we should change that deadline at least to September 23rd, which is a Monday, to give the applicants a full month to do this so that I can get it up on the website. And I hope we don't have to change the other deadline, but the other one was for November 15th.
I was just wondering, could we should probably make some kind of announcement that the applications are available now, right? Are
I'll
they available
definitely,
now?
they're not because of what we're doing right now,
Okay.
because of.
But they will be after
Right,
tonight.
but I need to make sure I have the deadlines clear and that it makes sense and it gives the applicants enough time. So,
So,
So if the application is ready to go with this new language, and we approve the extended deadline now, can we then make the announcement either when you get back or before you?
yeah, when I get back, I'll definitely be putting that, because already somebody contacted me and I told them what was going on, but I said it's possible the deadline will be extended. So yeah, I'll be putting that on the website. I'll be putting up all the application material, or definitely the eligibility application and the instructions. And, I'll probably put something on Facebook, on Hello Holyoke, try to get the word out. And any email contacts I have from the past, I suppose I could send an email to them.
Yeah, and, again, assuming that we all agree to the deadline extension or whatever deadline we choose, we can all respond to informal queries about what's going on.
Yeah, you can certainly get the word out
Yeah.
yourself, which is, as long as, we just need to be clear on what that deadline is, so
Yeah,
people
I mean,
know.
I have no problem with the idea of extension. It makes sense to me.
I have no problem with that either. Is there any reason why not just to go to the 30th, to the end of September? Give everybody plenty
Well,
of time?
because then there's less time for the next section of the application, because the next part is due November, I think it's November
Well,
15th.
we could add
That
the
still
extra
gives-
week all the way down the line.
It still gives them 45 days after that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just extending the deadline. That doesn't mean people can't come in with it on the
That's true.
so
8th of September.
Yeah.
It's just, all we're doing is extending that one deadline to give people a little more
Yeah.
chance to get in. There's no reason to go down the line and extend
I
other
think that
deadlines.
people need the most time to do the full application, and they don't need very much time,
people,
except for the Holyoke Historical Commission aspect. That part, you're right, they
well,
do need
this,
more
this
time.
we're getting a little confusing. So, they don't need a letter from the Historical Commission for the eligibility application. They need it for the final application.
Oh, you're right, I'm sorry,
So-
you're right.
Okay, so
That's right, they don't.
And, people who are filling out the eligibility application, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, they're going to know whether they're eligible or not. I mean, that's the intent, right? We really, there may be a small percentage of the applications that we actually need to reject because of the eligibility or suggest that they make changes to the application. So, I mean, if I was looking for a decent size award out of this, I'd be working on my application already. I wouldn't be waiting even to complete the eligibility when I've looked at it and say, I know this.
Except
So-
they don't have it available, it's not
But
on the
they-
website.
But right, so let's get it out there so that they have them,
Well, okay,
and they
but
have the last ones.
That's why
and they-
we had to work on the instructions before I could put it out there.
Okay, so, and I don't, my question was based on reading this second to the last sentence to ensure that HC has time to review the project before applications are due. I think we should either insert final or.
Yeah, I think that's
Just so that
good.
it's clear to
Full
everybody. You don't need
applications.
that letter to do eligibility. You can check the box that says you're going to get one, and when you put your final application in. So the timing of this is, right, we get these applications in either submitted in either September 13th, 20th, or 30th, and then our next meeting will be the second Monday of October, unless we decide to have a special one at our September meeting, at which time we'll go through all of these applications and say they're eligible or they're not. We'll determine at that meeting, one meeting, whether any of the applications are not eligible. And then we're going to communicate to them, and they'll know that they have the final applications that are due on a date. Right? Am I missing something there?
Well, only to the extent that, and I hope that it will go that smoothly this time, but last year eligibility was harder than we thought it was. We spent way more time on it than any of us anticipated.
Right.
I hope that won't happen this year, but I am afraid to count on it not.
Right, because
Right.
we also might get many more applications, is the
And-
other thought.
And in this way, you'll have at least 2 weeks and maybe 3 or 4 weeks to review the applications yourself and make a preliminary recommendation as to whether they're eligible or not. So I think we're okay. I'm not nervous about the.
So what date do you want the deadline to be for the eligibility?
Honestly, I'm
It's up to you. You're the
comfortable
one
with
that-
any
Well,
of those 3
I'm fine with
dates. That's
deciding
the
myself, and
committee's
I thought that,
pleasure.
I mean,
What do people think?
I would like to make that determination myself based
Oh,
on my
Well,
experience.
is the 13th,
You know.
the
The
20th,
13th is
or
a Friday, and the
the 30th?
23rd is the Monday, 10 days later.
And
Well, the
that's what you
23rd was
recommend?
That was
Amy's
what I
original
recommended,
suggest-
September
yeah.
23rd.
I think that'll be
And-
fine.
So I'll make a motion. I guess we probably should vote on it.
What day was the 30th?
Maybe you were thinking, Mike, about the full application, which
No.
is due November 15th.
Nope.
Oh, you were
Oh,
talking about
September
the first-
30th.
September 30th is also a Monday.
So if,
So it's
Amy,
either,
if you're comfortable with getting it all done
Well,
by the
all I'm
23rd?
saying is that if we change it to the 30th, which is fine, we then need to allow a full month. Well, I guess that there would be enough time.
There is a full
Okay,
month.
if you want to do the 30th, that's okay with me.
the 30th. So do we need a motion?
Motion to extend the deadline till the 30th of September?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any other discussion on that? Agenda item number 5?
Oh, no. Well, under
Oh,
the business, I was
Other,
just going to say.
6 other business?
Also, I'd like to see if we could get the notice out about the applications when they are available on the first page of the city's website, that.
Oh,
if-
I guess
if
we'd
we
have to
can.
ask Ryan to do that.
Yeah, see if he can do that,
That would be a good idea.
yeah. And,
Let's see if we can do
I
that.
don't know, I don't know, the newspapers, I can send them a notice about it, but they haven't been, the Sun will put it in. They'll put it in.
Dennis might.
And Dennis might, yeah.
Do you want to reach out to Dennis, or
Well, I don't have his email address, but so I just sent, I don't know, I don't
I
have
can try
anybody
if
at
you
the
want.
re-
I will.
you have his
Yeah,
email
I know how
address?
to get a hold of him.
Okay, good, then you do,
All right,
yeah.
I'm going to write
I'll
myself
do
a
the
note.
Sun, you do Dennis.
Okay, great.
So you'll have to let me know when.
Any other
the
business?
applications are available, so I
Mike?
can tell the Sun.
Yeah, I would just like to continue to stress to the public, anybody listening, and whether it's the OPED that's going to put it forward, but probably the most significantly endangered historic resource we have in the city right now is the H.H. Richardson train station. And I just want to have it out to the public that we need as much support and to see something really come forward on this, or we are in real danger of losing this. And I just, every meeting, I'm going to bring that up.
You said you were going to put in an order for the planning and economic development to put in an application.
Yep.
yeah, to do that. I mean, do they have that information already on how much
They
it's
do,
gonna
and,
cost to fix the whole thing?
No, they don't.
Yeah,
No.
see, so
But,
they might have to do a study first, or
Yeah, we did have a good meeting with Ben Murphy, and he's very much a fan of that, and now he's new involved with OPED, and I got a strong sense that they were going to be coming forward with something on that, but I'll
And that's-
definitely,
and that's
short of filing an order, it's,
they need to do a feasibility study so that we can know what's the story there, how much it's gonna cost. What's, besides, the total cost plus individual amounts of what needs to be done.
yeah. But right now, just to stabilize it, even if nothing's going to happen for the next 10 years, you're looking at a price tag in excess of $1 million. So
Okay.
That's HG&E still the owner of that?
they are.
Okay.
Now, technically, they should be putting in the application,
They should be,
and they should be doing a feasibility study, too.
and they should be using CPA funds to get grants.
You can do a feasibility study with CPA.
I think,
Well,
they need to come to the plate. I think that'd be a great place to start.
Yes,
yes,
I
but
agree.
as of the moment, we have nothing before us, so really this is all speculative until something happens.
I'm just going to
Yeah,
bring it
no,
up.
Every time.
I'm
Yeah,
going to bring it up every time.
He's encouraging,
Yeah.
that's a
Yep.
good thing.
How can we help?
With the limited funds that we've got available, it's, we'll wait till we get around to the funding, but we may, the decision of this committee might be that we're not going to fund anything else or very few things so we can start banking some money for it or get something started, because there's not, even with this year's round of funding, there's not going to be enough to do anything significant,
yeah.
all right?
No.
And I don't know how many more winters that can survive. The north wall, as we saw, is starting to buckle. The roof joists are starting to rot out, and it's got the weight of a slate roof resting on top of it. So you can draw the conclusions what we might find some morning.
Yeah, but I think we do need an actual proposal before we can go too far down this road.
Right.
And we need community input because it's not the only thing that people are going to want to fund it that's out there.
I understand.
We may ultimately decide that it's the most important and it's worth putting everything else off for, but I hate to go too far down this road before we have heard from the competition.
I agree with what you're saying, right? Myself, mentally, I've drawn a hard line. We had initially, over a year ago, community input. On every single table at that, the H.H. Richardson train station was listed. So in that respect, I've seen enough community input. We also had a public hearing already this year, and only one person showed up.
It's in the preservation plan, too.
And it's in the preservation plan.
And
So I
the
think there's
person
enough.
who showed up said that her number one priority was continuing to fund the City Hall windows. I mean, we
That's
need
fine, that's one,
to,
I don't want to get into a debate with
Yeah.
it tonight.
It's not the time.
Myself, I've had and seen enough community input.
yeah,
When
no,
only
I
one person shows
understand.
up with one other idea, that's not community input.
I understand that you are deeply committed to this, and I am not objecting to that commitment in any way. I am just saying that it is premature for us to all be getting on board with this right now when we have a round opening and we have no idea what the other applications will be.
We could also,
And we don't have a proposal in front of us.
So my question was, how can we help maybe rally some support out of HG&E and,
I'm going
you
to
know,
email Jim LaBelle, tell him to start
you
working
know,
with the CPA.
and again,
Or
I'm with
planning,
you.
the
I make
planning
no
department?
decisions till
Hey,
things are in front of
HG&E.
me and I
Not
can.
the planning department?
No, he's the head of the oil, gas, and electric.
No, I know, I was just wondering if someone in the planning department would be, I mean, I know
Yes, he should.
they did a proposal before for that developer incentive, but that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Why don't we invite HG&E and the planning department into the next meeting and put that on the agenda?
We could do that.
Well, if you don't mind the obvious appearance that the committee is pursuing this ahead of any other applications, no problem.
The other thing, too,
I mean, I would be willing to meet with anybody at any time who has a project that they want to come in and talk about. So, I mean, I would not disqualify HG&E and
No, certainly not.
so, and the H.H. Richardson train station. So if you want to, I
The
mean,
other
the
thing too is
boards,
we can consider taking out a loan ahead of time,
that's,
you know,
I mean, we,
on our funding.
Bonding, that's what they do.
Bonding,
What-
yeah,
what's-
no, I know.
I
Very
mean-
complicated. I have no idea how to do it.
Well, it's an idea, because
Yeah.
right now we don't have the funding, so,
Yeah.
you know, we couldn't do it even if we wanted to. We wouldn't have $1 million for, till 2 years,
No, but
2 years funding, so we couldn't do anything, but if we
Mike,
bond
if,
we
for
could
it,
do the bonding,
we could
yep.
do it early.
Mike, if you want to invite those guys to the next meeting and let Amy know that they can make it, then we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting, whether it's HG&E or Ben or Marcos or whoever, or the mayor or a city, anybody wants to come in and talk about it. I mean, I'm happy to,
Okay, so Mimi, you gotta help me here. Does that require a motion and a vote?
I don't,
I don't think so.
I think that it's encouraging, is it not,
Yeah.
Amy, that people from the board can bring projects to the board
yeah.
on their own
Yeah.
also? So,
Right.
so this, if Mike's encouraging a project, then I think that getting more feedback on it and being more aware of what the project is a good thing. It doesn't mean we're in support or out of support, we're just gathering information.
What I want to be clear about, I don't want to discourage anyone else who may have
Absolutely.
Yeah.
an application that they want to bring forward and think that that's a fool's errand, because it's
Right.
not. Well, all good they'll all get due
Equal.
consideration, and
Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
You,
You know, I
so-
think we have to just be careful not to leave the impression that
Right.
we have decided what we're doing with these funds, and, you know, there's just no point in anybody else trying to intervene,
Right.
which is unfortunately an impression that happens with a lot of projects in this city.
right.
Yep.
Any other business?
I'm going to go over to the annex building to the historical commission meeting now, which just started 10 minutes ago. I can bring that up. I can bring anything else up if,
Feel free, yeah.
Yeah.
It would be, I think it would
Before
be
you
good.
leave,
no, I was going to wait until this
Oh,
meeting is
okay.
over.
okay. The only other thing I thought I would ask is, some people, I was asked to create a chart on, you know, when people were appointed, to keep track of when their terms end, and there are a few people I don't have that information for, and since some of you are here, I don't know if you know, do you know that, Mimi? When you
I
were-
have no idea. I'm going to have to go back through a million years of planning board minutes.
Okay.
But you're a founding committee member,
You were
right?
roughly
I mean,
here
so
at
it's
the
the
beginning,
same.
right? So maybe I could look through the minutes, but I'm just not sure for how long you're appointed for. Do you know that?
Forever.
Forever. And we
Oh.
don't have fixed terms.
Well,
I don't
from
think
what I
so.
read, though, it's 3 years, and then you have to be reappointed
Yes.
by the board that appointed you in
There you
the
go.
Holyoke ordinance.
So
Okay,
I-
so
But you can keep serving
Well,
if there's a
but-
delay, but yeah.
within the planning board's rules, there is no fixed term for this. There may be, you know, for this committee's.
Yeah.
But because I was not voted to a specific term on the
Uh-huh.
planning board, you know,
Well, this committee started in August, so
Yeah.
that's when you're,
so that is
Appointment
probably when it started.
August
and-
2017?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be an earlier thing somewhere in the minutes, because I think at some point we just discussed informally the fact that this committee was ramping up and somebody was going to have to join it. And
But that doesn't
vote
count
will be
towards your
there.
term, yeah.
So even though I guess the planning board doesn't have that, we have, the Holyoke Amendment says that it's not, that
yeah,
after
so,
3 years, yeah.
yeah, so that's fine, but I will have to bring that back to the planning board at some point.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I do not have from them a formal expiration date.
Okay. I guess if they don't have an expiration date, I don't know if they
Go by the
formally
rules.
have to reappoint you. I don't know.
Well, no, presumably because we have the rule saying that they're for 3-year terms, that goes back to the planning
so we'll
board,
go to the
and I will
rules.
make them aware of it at the next meeting.
Okay, great. And then, Mike, you told me when you were appointed, but I just don't know when, for how many years.
Well, it would be the
Probably the
same.
same,
Yeah.
the same, 3 years. I mean, per our regulations.
Because I thought that some people.
Our regulations say that? I know the city council
Yeah, the city
appointees were
council is
3 years.
Yeah,
Are all members do they have terms like that, or they're just
Yeah.
members until
It
they're
might-
not?
Yeah, I hadn't thought so, but if there were amendments that went through to the ordinance and I didn't see them,
I think it says in the rules that what the term is for those appointed, not talking about the at-large.
This is what I have, but I don't think it, if you want to see.
Oh, this
Towards
is-
the paragraph at the bottom is where it starts talking about it. But I thought that some people were appointed for specific periods of years. I don't know.
You mean on their, from their?
Yeah, from their
no.
specific
No,
appointing
they
board.
would have gone by whatever the rules
Because
are.
you,
But we're the city council appointments, that's totally different.
okay, so who is the city councilor appointment?
Right now, it's Kip, Mike, and
Okay,
myself.
okay.
You're not a city council appointment.
Right. Yeah, I know that.
Andrew was, and whoever takes his place will then become the next city council. There's three. Myself, Kip, and Andrew until the next
But
appointment.
not Mike Sullivan?
Yeah, that's-
Not Mike Sullivan. Mike Sullivan is appointed as the city council representative by the city council. That's a
Mine's just
total,
until-
that's, it says it in the legislation.
Oh, so how long is, so Mike, is yours for 3 years then, or?
I don't see how it can be if I'm reelected every 2 years.
yeah, no, I think that you're just appointed by the city council president for however long.
Right.
So it's
thing.
2 years?
Yeah, no,
I see
it's,
that language?
That's it until
yeah,
I
it's
get
3
fired or
years
get
for
reelected.
the
I don't know.
designees from various boards under paragraph A there, except that it also says that if our boards don't reappoint us, we can just serve until whenever they do reappoint us or replace us.
Do you have the rules too?
Okay, so it is
know what
reappointed.
you mean by the
sorry.
rules.
So,
We have-
but
Just
technically,
slide that all the way
We
to
have
the
our
table.
rules, you know, our
Either
rules.
reappointed, or if you're not.
Okay,
What are you talking about? You know
They
our
get
rules.
reappointed by somebody else. They
I
appoint
thought they
somebody
would be
else.
part
yeah,
of this.
exactly.
They're
You know,
not
it,
incorporated.
I think that that's really just to make sure
I'll have to
that
look for that. I don't know where they are.
if everybody falls asleep at the
send
switch,
them
there's
to
still
No, I
somebody
probably
here.
have them, I just, don't know.
And, you know, if we remember to bring it up in 3 years, then great. Either they
So
can
didn't-
replace us or reappoint us or whatever.
Right.
But our
So-
positions won't become
So-
vacant.
So the city council appointees are on a staggered schedule.
Right.
Not
All
anymore.
of,
After I'm done, then it's going to be 3 years for everybody.
every year though, somebody
Every year,
comes up.
someone will come up. Oh, I see what you're
So,
saying, yes. It
but
won't,
the-
it will
but
no
the
longer
rest
be,
of-
yeah.
The original members all have the same expiration date, need to be reappointed unless someone changed.
Yeah, or,
Because
and-
Libby,
Well, like Libby.
Yeah.
Libby changed to
Well-
Izzy, I think.
and all of ours may have different rules because, you know, this provides for
So nobody's
whatever.
up yet. We have at
Yeah.
least one more year. No, but, because we're only 2 years through this, right?
Right,
So
right,
the-
exactly,
Everybody has at least, we don't need to worry for another
right,
9 months.
right.
Okay, I'm sorry. So the Kip, Elaine, and Andrew are all 3 years?
No,
No.
No,
don't go
Andrew,
back.
Okay.
Don't go back. Just from now on, they're going to be 3 years of the city council appointments. I mean,
So
we explained that to you already. 1, 2, and 3 years, we were all different.
I was originally appointed 1 year.
Right,
I was reappointed, but to a 3-year term.
Yes,
okay.
Andrew was 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
so if he was going to stay, he would be reappointed for 3 years.
or whoever comes
Mayor
in.
was originally
Whoever
appointed
comes
3
in.
years, so when your term is up, if you
Yeah.
stay, it would be another 3 years, or someone else will come in for 3
Or
years.
whoever takes my place will be 3 years, and the same for Andrew will be 3 years.
All right,
So-
anything else?
All of them are at 3 years, because that's, the boards are all at
Right.
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what should I put down for Mike? When
Mike.
were you
He's-
appointed?
He's.
Question
just-
mark.
Question mark, yeah,
and
to
not a
be
question mark,
TBD.
To be determined, yeah.
Okay.
It'll be,
If he's a counselor, then he continues, and if he's not, then they
yeah,
appoint.
unless
okay.
someone
As
on
long
the
as
city
he's-
council wants to take your place or
well, you know,
change.
sort of
the-
at the will of the president of the
Yeah,
city
I get
council.
reappointed
You're
every
at the
year.
will of the council.
Unless Todd fires me.
Yeah,
There you go. There you go, yes.
or unless you guys fire Todd.
There you go, that's
All
possible.
right, anything else under other business?
The only thing I want to remind people of is that I'm going to be away for the rest of this week and unavailable. So, as I told you, Kip. So, Elaine, sorry, not Elaine, Crystal, the city solicitor, left me a message saying that, you know, she's ready to, you know, do these contracts and would send them by me again. And of course, I'm not going to be here for that, and I don't want to hold them up. So I gave her your email,
Okay.
Kip, in case she wants somebody
Okay.
else to look at them.
And just so everybody knows, at the last meeting, they did it on the floor. I think I sent out a message on that, but
Yes.
the VOCES was changed to
Right.
Valley Opportunity Council. That went through on the floor, didn't get sent to committee, it's all.
So that's also.
All right, and our next meeting is the second Monday of September, correct?
Second Monday, like, second of
And that is the 10th.
No, that's the 9th.
Isn't the 9th a Monday?
Is it a
Am I-
Monday?
Oh, wait, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry, I'm looking at
So funny,
2018
it's
for
the
some
one night I
reason.
actually ate early and meeting got over.
The 9th.
Isn't that
6 o'clock.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Second?
Aye.
Aye, see you then.
Okay, guys.